What's up guys, Bua Davis here. Today we will talk about how you can make melee attack in Unity 2D. Well, as you see, our game will go like this. We have this character, we have this enemy, and we can attack our enemy and actually kill them. We will talk about how you can set animations for your character and how you can set damage system to your enemy and actually kill them. So if you want to see more videos like this, please like this one and subscribe to my channel. It will be greatly appreciated. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, I set up this simple scene for us to work for today, and we have our character and he can move, and that's all that he can. And if you don't know how to make your player movement script or how to work with animations, I already have videos about them, and I will leave the links to both of them in the description down below. Those ones are beginner friendly videos, and so you can watch them. Our player has the simple box collider and rigid body, and of course player movement script. And here we have our enemy, which has the one animation, default one. He is attacking us. It has also box collider and rigid body, and body type of his rigid body is set to kinematic. Okay, first of all, let's start with our character, and we need our attacking animation. So let's work with animations a little bit. We can select our player, and by the way, I'm using this Hero Knight pack from the asset store, and for enemy I'm using this Gothic 1 year charge pack. I also leave both of links to the description down below, and you can use same assets as me for this video, or you can use any other assets, so feel free to do it as well. Anyway, for our player, if we go to the animator panel, by the way, if you don't have this animator window, you can click on the window, animation, and this animator window. Okay, now our player, as you see, has idle and run. That's all it has right now. But if we go in the hero pack and open animations, you see that here he has these attack 1, attack 2, and attack 3 animations. We can use any of them. I will use the second one. Hero Knight attack 2. Let's change name to be player attack. And it also needs one parameter to work with. So let's make one trigger. Click on the plus sign, trigger, and let's call it attack with capital A. And to work, we need transitions to player attack, and we need to be able to attack from any state. So click on the any state, make transition to player attack, and from player attack, we need to set one transition to the idle to go back to idle when our attacking animation is finished. So let's click on the transition from any state to player attack. Here we need to set one condition. You see this condition here. We can click on the plus and we can make it attack. That's all. We don't need any exit time and we don't need this transition duration. So let's make it 0. For the player attack to idle transition, we don't need any condition, just make sure that his exit time is ticked, and let's change exit time to be 1 in order to play our player attack animation fully and then go to the idle one. Okay, our animator is ready, and we are also ready to make our player actually attack something. For it, let's create new C# script. I already have one. I named it player combat. You can name it anything you want. Just make sure to attach it to your player. Let's double check if it's there. And indeed, we have this player combat. Let's open it in the Visual Studio. First of all, we need a reference to our animator. So we can say animator, and let's name it anim. And in the start, we can get reference. So anim equals get component, and the component we want is animator. parentheses, and that's it. Now we can use our animator. Amazing. Now, in the update, we can say that when we are pressing something to play our attack animation. So let's do it, and I will use space key for my attack. You can use any other key, of course. So let's say if input dot get key down, and we want key code dot space. So when we are using the space button, when we are pressing it, what we want to do, we want some attack function. And let's create this attack function. So void attack, parentheses, curly brackets. Now you can do everything in the update, but it's just better way to separate like this because it will be easier to read in the later stages when you start making some complicated codes. So let's do it like this. In the void attack, first of all, we need to play our attack animation. Second of all, we will need to detect our enemies. And after it, we want to damage them and kill them. So, to play our player attack, it's very simple. We just will need to say that anim.set trigger. Trigger because if you remember, we set this trigger parameter with the name of attack. So let's just say here, attack. Just try to copy it exactly same, otherwise it won't work. And that's it. That's exactly what we need to play our attack animation. Now we can save this script and let's go back in Unity. And well, let's press play and see if everything works first of all. And then we will continue. Okay, here is our player, and when I press space key, he indeed attacks. Amazing. Very snappy instant attacking movement. Now it's time to actually detect our enemies, and to do it we need some kind of detector. That's why let's select our player, click it, and create empty game object, and let's call it attack point. It will be our attack point from which we will be attacking, and since our sword movement is in the front, let's place it in the front of our player. Okay, great. Now we can go back in Unity and continue working. First of all, we need few new variables. We need one public transform for our attack point, which we created just now. We also need some range to detect our enemies. So let's say public floats attack range, and let's set it to 0.5. You can always change it from the inspector after we play test it. And we need one layer mask to detect our enemies, and let's call it enemy layers. Amazing. That's all we need for variables. And if we go in the attack to detect our enemies, we can use physics to the dot overlap circle all. Now this will create some circle around our attack point, and since it has some range, he will detect our enemy layers. To do it, we need some variables. We need vector2 point and float radius, as you see. For our point, we have this attack point. So let's say attack point dot position. We need some range now, and we have range, attack range. So let's say attack range, and we need some layer. And we have this layer mask with the name of enemy layers. So let's say enemy layers here. Also, let's save information here, and we can say collider 2D, and we can make array from it. And let's name it hit enemies. And it will be equals to this function. And to actually damage them after it, we can create for each loop, and this is how you do it. You just type for each, and it takes collider 2D, let's call it enemy, with lowercase first letter, and in hit enemies. Because hit enemies is where we store information about our detection of enemies. So hit enemies. Right now we don't have anything to actually damage our enemy, but to make sure that everything is working fine, we can say that debug.log, and we can say we hit plus enemy.name. And what it does, it should display the message in the console in our Unity with the name of the enemy that we hit. And we can go back in Unity and we can click on the player and into the player combat script. It has few new variables. First of all, it needs attack point. Let's drag our attack point here. It has range 0.5 and it has this enemy layer. Now, first of all, we need to create layer. I already have one with the name of enemy. If you don't have, you can click on the enemy and in the inspector, click on this add layer and type here enemy. Click enter and then go back, select enemy once again and assign this layer to your enemy. Great, now go back to your player again and in enemy layers, let's select this enemy layer. That's exactly what we want and we can press play now and see if everything works fine. And let's go in the console window and let's hit our enemy. And indeed, we have this message, we hit enemy, so our detection is working completely fine. And I hit 3 times and it detects 3 times as well. Now we are ready to go and actually damage our enemy. To do it, we will need new C# script. So let's create new C# script with the name of enemy damage. I already prepared this empty enemy damage script for us. And let's assign this enemy's damage script to our enemy. Let's double check if it's there, and indeed it's there. So let's open this script and what we need few new variables. First of all, we need public int and let's call it max health and let's say that it's 100. And we also need one integer int current health. And that's it. Now, in the start, we should say that our current health will be equal to max health. Because when we start our game, we want our enemy to has 100 health. Well, you can actually change it to something like 200 or 50, whatever you want. I will just leave it as a 100. And now let's make new function, new public function. Public void take damage. Now we are making it public because we will be using this function in the player combat script and we need it to be public, otherwise we can't do it. And it will take one parameter with a name of damage. Okay, and we can say here that current health minus equal damage. Now, if you are not familiar with the minus equal sign, it's basically same as to say that current health equals current health minus damage. It's just simpler way and shorter way to say that. And basically it gives our current health amount. Amazing. After it, what we want to do, we want to play some damage animations if you have one. I don't have one, so I won't do it. But if you have, this is the place where animation will go. And if our current health will be less than equal to 0, what we want to do? We want our enemy to die. We don't have this die function yet, so let's create void die. And once again, if you have the dying animation, here is place to put your animation. I don't have, and I will just make it disappear. So I can say destroy game object, and when our health will be less than 0 or equal to 0, our enemy will be just disappear. It will be destroyed. Now let's save this script, Control S or Command S, and so let's go back in player combat script. And here, when we are actually damaging our enemy, instead of this debug.log message, we can actually damage our enemy. To do it, we can say enemy.getComponent. Now, as I mentioned, we want to take this take damage function and put in the player combat. Here, how you can do it, you will just say enemy.getComponent, and here we should say our script name, which is enemy damage. Parentheses dot, and here we can say the function name that we want, and it's take damage. So take damage, and in parentheses we can say our damage amount, something like 20, or what we can do, what we will do, we can create new public int with a name of attack damage, and let's set it to something like 40. Obviously you can change from the inspector those numbers, and in the parentheses here we will say attack damage. Amazing. We can save this script. I think we did everything, so let's go back in Unity and save and see what is happening. Let it compile. Now we can see that our max health of the enemy is 100 and our player is already set. We can click on the enemy, click on these 3 dots on the right and change this to the debug from the normal. It will allow us to see more information about our enemy, and select this enemy and press play and see if everything works. And when we start game, his health is 100 as you see. So let's hit him one more time and it goes to 60 because our damage is 40, so everything works fine. So let's once again, it's 20, and when we hit one more time, he will just disappear. Amazing, guys. Now you can create as many enemies as you want, just attach this enemy damage script to them and assign this enemy layer to them, and everything will work just fine. Now you can take this game and make it more interactive, adding more enemies and some effects, but this is base, and I hope this video was informative for you. And if you like this content and want to see more videos like this, please like, subscribe and ring the notification bell not to miss any new upcoming videos. Thanks for watching and see you soon. Bye bye.